Hi everyone, welcome back to Vedic Living. Today is exciting. We are going to talk about Jyotisha for the first time. In the very first video in the series, we were looking at how Jyotisha is, or Vedic Astrology is one of the Vedangas. It's one of the 6 foundational Vedanga disciplines. In ancient India, Jyotisha first originated as an astronomical study, believe it or not, study of the stars, planets and skies, movement of the planets, etc. It was used for timekeeping and tracking the movements of the sun, the moon and the other planets in the solar system. Particularly back then, it was used for forecasting auspicious day and time for various Vedic rituals, or yajnas as they are called. Back then, the kings and the sages frequently had yajnas, or sacrificial rituals, to appease the gods. Basically the timing for these rituals were determined using the principles of Jyotisha. Now, in my next video, we will delve deeper into the concept of Vedic cosmology. It's really interesting with the lokas and the manvantaras, the tithis, basically everything to do with the concept of time as per the Vedas. Very eye-opening. Coming back to Jyotisha, the word Jyoti essentially means light, and Ish loosely translates to study or science. Now, so putting both together, Jyotisha basically it translates to the study of light, which could mean light emanated from the planets, light emanated from the soul, various ways of looking at this. Sometime around the 2nd or 3rd century BC, the Vedas were translated and written basically from what was heard, or Shruti, as we saw in the previous video, and what was passed down from generation to generation in the form of hymns, songs, poems, mantras, etc. The Rig Veda, which is referred to as the spiritual Bible of India, contained all the astronomical references, timekeeping, calendars, everything. There is not much clarity around when this discipline matured into more of a predictive model. The first reference I could find goes back to the mythology Ramayana, which is 9,000 years old, and Mahabharata, which was around 5,000 years ago. So in the Ramayana and Mahabharata, there are multiple places where it's detailed, where the use of astrology was prevalent to predict outcomes of certain events. For example, per the ancient text called Bhagavatam, sage Vedavyasa commented to King Dhritarashtra on the positions of the planets on the day the Mahabharata war was supposed to begin. It is very clearly mentioned how he spoke to the king and conveyed to him that the positions of the planets was not good, based on the fact that the timing is not auspicious. It will lead to great destruction. This leads us to believe, the fact that this is there in that particular mythology, it leads us to believe that the predictive model of Jyotisha existed at that time. Similar references can be found for various other events like Krishna's birth, Sri Rama's birth, destruction of the Yadus, Krishna's visit to Hastinapura as a last attempt to make peace, and many places where you can see how astrology was used and talked about. Various astrologers and sages lived around the 2nd to 4th century BC. A lot of written works happened during this time frame. Some of the major names at that time was Parashara, Rishi Parashara, Varahamihira, um, Kalyana Varma, right? So all of these folks wrote major masterpieces and treatises on Vedic astrology. Now, looking at the soul-centric view, which is what I like to talk about, Jyotisha has a very prevalent karmic and soul-centric view. The main idea is that the position of planets at the time of birth creates some kind of a, how do I put this, a sacred geometry, which in turn resonates at a specific frequency. I believe this vibration level or frequency is then trapped in the soul at the time of birth. So in a way, that's the reason why as astrologers we ask for the date and time and place of birth, because it's very important to find out the exact chart. The level of vibration of the soul, after many lifetimes, the soul would have progressed to a certain level of vibration, or I would say enlightenment. So the premise is that the soul falls into this body or in this vessel with the specific vibrational frequency in order to manifest a life where it can gather maximum learning and enlightenment, because that's the whole purpose of life. The 4 coordinates, that's time, date, and the latitude and longitude, which is a place. These comprise a unique signature, like a blueprint for the soul. It's unique, it's like a fingerprint. So born in this particular body and this frequency, the soul then carries on through this life, creating the dharma it's intended to create in this lifetime. Learning lessons, evolving, healing, becoming enlightened, right? This is why I value Jyotisha a lot, because I consider the natal chart as a soul path diagram or a blueprint. So how do we use it? So by the principles of Jyotisha, the natal chart, which is unique to you, shows your dharma in this lifetime. So, and what is dharma? It is whatever the soul's intent is in this lifetime. The strengths of the soul, the learning it has mastered over the past lifetimes, some of the blocks that the soul may have, which it has brought into this lifetime to resolve. What else? And the timing when these blocks can manifest in that soul's life and pose challenges. And why are there challenges? Because challenges are what help you to grow spiritually and to be enlightened on this journey. So as I tell my clients, knowledge is half the battle won. So astrology helps you be aware and hence traverse this life with more grace and in an informed way, rather than just, trying to blindly find your way around. And ultimately this helps in attaining your dharma. So that is my take on what Jyotisha is, and I do approach it with a very soul-centric view, and because I feel that's the best way to help clients. Because if somebody comes to me and says, I don't know why this is happening in my life and when is this going to stop, it always helps when I tell them that, hey, this is happening in your life and you are reacting in this way to this event, which somebody else might not react in that way, right? You are reacting in this way because this is a learning for you. And the moment you tell the client or enlighten them about how this chart is so powerful, that's when they go from being a victim to being a enlightened, informed soul who is ready to learn. Because when you're ready to learn is when your suffering stops. You're saying, whatever is happening, there's a lesson here for me. If I'm suffering, that means there is a lesson, because the same situation might not have caused suffering in somebody else. They may just have ignored it. The fact that I'm suffering shows that I have a learning here. And when you approach life with that mindset, it really makes things much more easier, and you can attain your dharma as fast as you can, rather than struggling and being a victim for a long time and then complaining and then finally coming to the realization that, okay, I'm here, let me learn this. So we are trying to skip all that bad stuff and get to the positive side very quickly, so that we can enjoy this life, right? And learn in the process and grow and become better people. So that is why Jyotisha is very, very close to my heart from that standpoint. So I hope this video has helped you understand more about Jyotisha. And in the next video, we'll be talking about Vedic cosmology, which is very interesting. And I hope you come back to listen to that. Thank you, guys.